So dispreferred markers are these little phrases that people use, often when they speak, but they use them as well when they write very conversationally. And they typically precede negative information. Common examples include things like, bless her heart, or God bless him, or I don't want to be mean, or I'll have to be honest with you. Those are some. Or let me be frank. That would be another one. And so what they do is they tell the listener that something is about to happen that's maybe negative information, negative news, but it's meant in sort of the best of light. And so when people talk about another person, for example, they may say, bless her heart, but she is really a pain to deal with most of the time. And so my colleagues and I decided to see whether consumers use these kind of phrases in order to introduce negative information about a product. And we find that they really often do, and it works quite well. In those experiments, we found that people were willing to pay more money for the same product that was described in a somewhat unfavorable light if and only if that negative information was preceded by a dispreferred marker. I guess, in a sense to me, what the dispreferred markers do is they make the review seem human. It humanizes things. So somebody who's all positive, it's just Pollyanna. It's like, maybe you don't trust that person. The person's not credible. They're likable, but they're not that credible. A person who's all negative, they probably have high credibility, but you're just like, what are you, just negative person? And what you really want is somebody who's able to integrate the two, but you can't just say, here's a bunch of positive things, here's a bunch of negative things. That also, for listeners or consumers reading a review, it just doesn't it just doesn't kind of package it in the right way. And so we find that people just have a lot of appeal, or find those messages to be very appealing when they're positive and negative, with the negative being introduced there with that dispreferred marker. One thing we found is that these kind of dispreferred markers have the same type of effects in different languages all over the world, which makes it a very human type of interaction style. It's not something specific to like what Americans do, because I think when we use phrases like God bless it, it does sound very American. That's just kind of more of the way that Americans might talk about something. But I've got to be honest with you is a very common phrase that we learned in the Netherlands, and these phrases also exist in Southeast Asian countries. And so what I like about it is it just kind of speaks to how basic it is as a way of communicating, and a way of, I think it's actually a way of preserving relationships, because we have to tell each other negative things about products, services, or just life. And how do you do that in a way that's not totally confronting, and at the same time can still provide that really useful, meaty, negative information? And so the fact that it works cross-culturally, and it works in the very same way, seemingly, from what we found, seems to suggest it's a very fundamental part of the way that people communicate. And I think that's one of the great parts about that paper.